The Ahmad crime network comprises a group of siblings, deeply entrenched in the criminal underworld, boasting a significant history of engaging in extortion, drug trafficking, and homicide. Incidents of criminals resorting to violence for reasons such as financial disputes, drug conflicts, power struggles, or simply for the thrill of it are commonplace on the streets of Sydney. For the Ahmad family, gangland-style executions became a potential occupational hazard. In this presentation, our focus will be on three brothers: Walid Wali Ahmad, Mahmoud Brownie Ahmad, and Ahmad Rock Ahmad. In contrast to many other underworld figures in Sydney, the Ahmad brothers preferred to maintain a low profile and avoid public attention, although they were certainly not unfamiliar to law enforcement agencies in Sydney. Over the years, the family has been the subject of at least 55 intelligence reports and numerous investigations. Wali was the initial brother to attract police attention. As the eldest among them, he received a prison sentence in 2005 after admitting guilt to the manslaughter of Danny, who was fatally shot outside an automobile wrecking yard. Brownie also came under scrutiny as a person of interest in the case, although no charges were brought against him. However, it wasn't long before Brownie found himself embroiled in his own troubles during a night characterized as one of the most violent instances of drive-by shootings in Sydney's history. By the way, if you're enjoying the content thus far, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Your support is greatly appreciated and contributes to the growth of the channel. On September 11, 2005, a man named Monza El Husseini arrived at the Ahmad family residence armed with two guns, wearing a bulletproof vest, and opened fire on a gathering of people. However, his plan didn't unfold as intended. Later that same night at 8:53 p.m., El Husseini was admitted to a hospital, wounded by gunfire in his hand and shoulder. Just 5 minutes later, El Husseini's mother's house was targeted with 25 bullets from 4 different firearms, striking the house 13 times. 45 minutes afterward, a unit complex was subjected to 22 gunshots, most of which missed their mark and hit 4 other apartments, including one later identified as El Husseini's residence. Less than half an hour later, another 32 shots were fired at El Husseini's aunt's home before the gunman's car was pursued by police at high speed until it was lost track of. The abandoned car discovered crashed at Condell Park contained a Glock pistol with a full magazine and 17 spent bullet casings. Another Glock with a 30-round magazine was found in a nearby gutter, discarded during the pursuit. 3 days later, a member of the public turned in yet another Glock and a Heckler & Koch self-loading pistol found at an intersection. Forensic evidence implicated Brownie Ahmad, who was subsequently charged with shooting El Husseini. Despite expectations, Brownie received a lenient sentence of only a few years, which he reportedly counted out on his fingers before blowing a kiss to detectives in the courtroom during his trial. The incident propelled the Ahmad family to the top of the police's priority list, prompting the initiation of a separate investigation known as Strike Force Morwick. This probe aimed to compile evidence against the brothers, particularly focusing on Rock Ahmad, who, despite significant involvement in Sydney's underworld, had managed to evade extensive police attention. His criminal record consisted mainly of minor offenses, such as common assault, drug possession, and witness intimidation. Strike Force Morwick uncovered 5 distinct drug trafficking operations involving various managers and dealers associated with the Ahmad family. However, this effort did not result in any arrests or charges against the brothers. An officer involved in the investigation suggested that the Ahmad brothers' resilience stemmed from their mutual support, contrasting with other Sydney crime families known for internal rivalries and betrayals. However, the stability of the Ahmad brothers' lives was soon shattered. On April 9, 2016, Safwan Charbahi was fatally shot outside Wali's car body workshop in an industrial cul-de-sac in Condell Park. Charbahi had arrived at Wali's car wrecking yard that day, accompanied by members of the Elmer's criminal network. Among those present were Fawaz Elmer, who had recently been released from prison after serving time for cocaine supply, as well as Fawaz's son, Stephen, and another relative whose identity remained remains protected by a non-publication order. Safwan Charbahi, who was the brother-in-law of a relative of the Elmer family, reportedly arrived at Wali's workplace to address a dispute concerning a $100,000 debt allegedly owed. Both Wali and Brownie were present during this encounter, known within the underworld for their reputation of being volatile and unpredictable. With two of Sydney's most notorious criminal networks converging, the meeting was destined for chaos. While specific details surrounding the catalyst for the violent altercation remain scarce, Safwan Charbahi suffered fatal gunshot wounds to the head and chest during the confrontation. Police investigations revealed the involvement of up to 5 firearms during the Conwell Park shooting. The murder of Safwan Charbahi reverberated throughout the underworld, ultimately spelling the downfall of Wali and Brownie Ahmad. In the aftermath of the shooting, Brownie fled to Lebanon upon learning of the police's pursuit for his involvement. Meanwhile, Wali opted to remain in Sydney, reportedly attempting to maintain a low profile and alter his routines. However, nearly 3 weeks following the Condell Park incident, Wali fell victim to an ambush. After concluding a gym session with an associate, he was seated outside Havana Cafe at Bankstown Central Shopping Center when a masked assailant approached and fired 7 shots into his chest and back. The gunman fled in a waiting Mercedes, which was found shortly after set on fire. Shocked witnesses tried to give Wali medical assistance, but he couldn't be saved. 6 months later, known hitman Hamad Assad, a previous suspect in Wali's murder, was gunned down on his driveway. Reports emerged indicating that Assad had been boasting to underworld associates about being responsible for Wali's demise. A suspect linked to Wali's murder, Hell's Angels affiliate Kamel Blackie Barakat, met his own demise later, being shot dead in his residence. Wali's murder undoubtedly sent shockwaves throughout the underworld, highlighting the gravity of confronting the Ahmad family. Despite the daunting prospect of challenging the Ahmad family, business persisted in the underworld. With Wali deceased and Brownie abroad, the responsibility of managing Wali's outstanding debts fell upon his brother, Rock Ahmad. It was disclosed that Wali had incurred debts totaling up to $100,000. Rock struggled to adjust to his brother's loss and the new role thrust upon him as a debt collector. In dire need of funds, Rock ventured into drug importation, assuming a subordinate position in a scheme to smuggle nearly 2 tons of MDMA, 136 kilograms of cocaine, and 15 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine into Australia. Rock's plans were thwarted when an undercover police officer gained the trust of senior syndicate members and infiltrated the operation. In August 2017, law enforcement authorities intervened, apprehending Rock and other involved parties. Following his arrest, Rock received a 15-year prison sentence, with a non-parole period of 8 years and 9 months. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, Brownie grappled with the aftermath of his brother's death, reportedly facing financial strains and contemplating a return to Australia to recover outstanding debts. In March 2017, Brownie returned to Australia from Lebanon, only to be dramatically apprehended at Sydney Airport as he disembarked the plane, facing charges for the murder of Safwan Charbahi. Despite initially facing a murder charge, Brownie ultimately pleaded guilty to manslaughter as prosecutors withdrew the murder charge. During the court proceedings, it was revealed that Brownie had been deeply affected by the loss of his brother while in Lebanon. His pregnant wife was left alone in Australia to care for their 3 children, living in constant fear for her safety. Additionally, Brownie's criminal record showed a history of violence and firearms offenses. Brownie received a 5-year prison sentence for manslaughter, but this did not deter him from further criminal activities. Behind bars, he reportedly utilized intimidation tactics and coercion to extort money from affluent individuals. According to an underworld source, Brownie assaulted and extorted a fellow inmate, demanding payment from his acquaintances outside of prison under threat of continued harassment. The extortion sum amounted to approximately $250,000. The same source disclosed that Brownie had numerous adversaries but lacked the means or patience to carry out targeted killings, hence resorting to extortion instead. However, if confronted by a rival on the streets, Brownie was known to act impulsively, resorting to violence, including shootings, without hesitation. His reckless behavior earned him a reputation for being audacious, but not necessarily strategic. Upon his release from prison, Brownie was warned by anti-gang strike force Raptor that he was a marked man and faced immediate danger, with $1 million bounty placed on his head. This information was